the problem is it's because I know I'm not 100% right. I know that there's things that I'm missing, because clearly AWMI would be like blowing up right now if I was perfect. If I had everything down, we would be in a different position, and like, quote unquote, I wouldn't need help. But I do need help, and that's why you guys are on board, is because I can see that there's things that I lack that you guys definitely have and can add to the overall vision. All right, what's up, guys? Vince Blaze here with AWMI. I hope you guys are doing well. Thank you so much for tuning in to this new episode of Coffee Chats from our podcast Within. I'm really excited for today, and I hope you guys are as well, because today we have a really big announcement. But I want to give you guys a little bit more of context before I just break this down for you. If you want to have the whole background story of how AWMI came to be, you can definitely refer back to our first episode, which is Welcome to Within on our podcast. So if you want more background story, you can definitely check that out. But I'll kind of give you guys a little bit of the highlights of this episode, of kind of how we got to be here right now. So about 4 or 5 years ago, I started videography and photography. I was just doing it as a hobby, and normally I kind of got a little bit more involved into it, got a little bit more serious, and people started asking me if I would help them shoot content for them. So I naturally started getting more gigs, and I got a lot more invested into it, started purchasing a lot more gear, and I decided to take it a little bit more seriously. Which then led me to wanting to create my own business. The reason being was really to be able to separate my own personal brand, which is Vince Blaze for adventure travel, compared to the rest of my content that I was creating for other people. So weddings, commercials, advertisements, products, portraits, etc., etc. I just like to keep those separated, just so that people know what to expect when they land on the Instagram page or on the website, or what they can expect from the content that I can produce. Basically created this company, put it together, and I was running it 100% alone. So that means like all the content that was being shot, obviously I would hire some second shooters to help with weddings. But besides that, everything that was shot, captured, edited, all the emails, all the contracts, all the thumbnails, all the additional captions, everything I'd been running on my own. And mind you, I'm still working a full-time job on the side. And so it got to be very overwhelming. 2020, as most of us know, was a very hectic year. That being said, I'm extremely blessed to say that it was also one of my busiest years in terms of content creation. I got a lot of opportunities. I also decided to give back to the community by, shooting for some of the restaurants here, shooting for some of the companies just for free to, one, boost my portfolio, but also give back to the community. And on top of that, I think it paid off. I got a lot of offers, got a lot of gigs that came from there, a lot of weddings, and overall, I think it was a good decision. That being said, the overall vision that I had for AWMI, Adventures Within Media, was slightly bigger than what I was currently doing, just the content creation. I knew that there was a bigger story to it, and it's something that I had thought about prior to even setting up the company. So during the course of 2020, towards the end of it, I ended up, reconnecting with one of my friends, Danilo, and he's a producer, music producer, and so am I. And so we kind of reconnected through that and started chatting. And I had the opportunity, or I decided to open up to him and explain to him and show him the vision that I had for AWMI. And right away, he embraced it. He took it in, and he took it upon himself to support me as a friend, but also to allow me to share with me my dreams on it. And he slowly wanted to start getting involved. And I just saw a lot of skill sets and a lot of positive attributes that I thought that Danilo had that he could probably add to the company. And so I reached out to him and I said, hey, would you like to be part of a little project, which you guys are listening to right now, which is a podcast. As you guys can probably tell from the previous Coffee Chats episodes, Danilo is very articulate. He's very well expressed, and he breaks down concepts very well. And so I'm extremely blessed to have him be part of this. And he's also, he's also just been a really good friend and a really good support. And I don't think that I'd be able to have this entire podcast, this entire, platform be what it is today without him. Mind you, I forgot to mention that, I was running everything alone, and obviously like it's a startup business, and I didn't feel like I wanted to get other people on board. The reason being is I have a really high standard of quality, and I have a very specific vision. Pretty much anyone who has dealt with me in the last year can probably attest to that. They could probably confirm that theory, and Danilo can definitely confirm that theory with you. But that being said, it was definitely a risk for me to learn to let go of that. But like I said, Danilo had some skill sets and a lot of positive things about him that I really enjoyed. And so I invited him onto the project, onto the podcast, and into the company. And he really embraced the opportunity, which I'm super grateful for. Now, so we've got another teammate, we've got another person part of the team. I wasn't even thinking that we'd get anyone for years, like never mind this year. I thought maybe way in the future. But simultaneously at the same time, I was also talking to one of my friends, Rachel, who lives out in Hawaii. And the way I know her, we kind of connected through a mutual friend. So we've actually never met in person, which is super interesting. But we connected through like kind of the world of travel photography and videography, and she's just a very positive person. She's always someone we could kind of bounce off ideas. We'd have long conversations. She would like call me and ask me like, hey Vince, how do you edit this? Like, I don't know how to use this or whatever. And then she'd like give me ideas when I would ask her on like what kind of shots I should take, and she'd give me feedback and stuff like that. And just overall very positive. And I feel like that's something that our world kind of lacks. So when she told me that she wanted to take her business seriously, and this is the business of social media management for other companies, when she told me that, I knew right away that I needed to hop on this opportunity and reach out to her. So I kind of teased it a little bit for a while. I asked her, if she'd be interested in this kind of thing. And just like Danilo, she kind of took that on upon herself to really show me how interested she'd be in participating in the whole project and in the vision. And I formally asked her to join on, and she has been extremely helpful. Not only is she doing social media, she's helping in a lot more aspects than just the Instagram and that aspect. She's really covering a lot more roles, and I guess that's a common theme for everyone here. But that's a little bit of a breakdown of how AWMI has come to today, and I just would like to take the opportunity to welcome and to present or introduce you to the two new members of AWMI, Rachel and Danilo. So welcome to the team, guys.
Yay!
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up?
Hello.
All right. Cheers, guys. Cheers. Welcome to AWMI. Welcome to the podcast, Rachel, for the first time.
Cheers. Yeah, I almost cheers to the wrong camera.
That's awesome. Okay, so obviously this is the first time for most people to have even heard of Rachel. Danilo, people might have heard, the first episode, they might have seen some things, some glimpse on Instagram, etc. But I just want to give you guys each the opportunity to kind of introduce yourselves to the audience, to the crowd, to the AWMI fam. Shout out to whoever's listening right now. Danilo, why don't you give the idea of glimpse of who you are?
Okay. Hey, thanks, Vince. Thanks for having me here, and thanks for officially revealing that I am on board with AWMI. Glad to be here. It's been one heck of a ride for the short amount of time that I've been here. A little bit about myself. I'm 31 years old, based in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Vince already said that I'm a producer, mostly making music for myself and for all sorts of other people like rappers, singers, vloggers. I did one for a movie recently. Creatively, that's my basis, but I mean, I also do kind of other stuff as on the side, a little bit of video editing, a little bit of graphic design. Some of my other hobbies, I always used to say that drawing was my first love, so I do a lot of drawing on the side too. And like a lot of creatives, I mean, I do have a solid 9-to-5 job that I use as a foundation to support myself, but when I'm not working, I'm working on all our projects on AWMI and on all my projects. But yeah, glad to be here. Like I said, um, every week is different. Every week is exciting, but being on board for the vision has been one of the most eye-opening experiences on how to really start getting into freelance work. Both for myself and working as a team, especially with our latest edition that, and I'll talk about it later, has really changed the way that I have thought about working as a creative. But yeah, thanks for having me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And yeah, as you guys will see, like, this is obviously why I have Danilo on the team, is because he's not just, he's not just focused on one skill, and he's able to be an asset in every area. And you'll see Rachel's the same. So yeah, super blessed to have you part of the team, bro. I'm glad that you are on board for the vision. And yeah, I can't wait to hear your feedback in terms of how you feel the team dynamic has changed your workflow. So
yeah, cheers, man.
Yeah, before we get into that, let's hear a little bit about Rachel. What's your story, Rachel?
Hello. So I am Rachel. I am based in Hawaii, born and raised. I have just gotten into, yeah, just like Danilo, I do a 9 to 5 job, and this is like my side thing. But during COVID, I kind of got furloughed like most people in the society right now. But because of that, it kind of let me jump into a lot of my passions, I'll say, where it's that I love to help people and see other people grow in their businesses, their dreams, whatever they want to be doing. And I think that's in a way my dream, where I'm like, I want to see you guys achieve yours. And that's like me wanting to help people, I guess. So hearing Vince's dream and everything, I wanted to be a part of that. And I saw that it has like, we can go far with this. So I really wanted to be a part of it while it was just beginning, so that I could help get on board for everything with that. For the company, I am mainly AWMI's social media, but as we all do, we all wear many hats and we do everything. But, that's the main thing that I do. I am 26. I almost forgot my age. I would say I'm 27, but I think I'm just holding 27 2 years. But yeah, that's the main thing I do. And on the side, for free time, I'll do like make videos for hikes. Starting to get into diving. I garden in the backyard. I play with my dogs. So it's a lot of things. It just looks like I have a lot of free time. But yeah, it's mainly, if I'm not working, I'm doing AWMI work or helping manage some of the small businesses that I'm helping to get off the ground and set up their social medias to succeed in 2021 COVID time. So, yep, that's all.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And like, I just think that people obviously realize that you're also doing a lot of things. I think that's the common theme. Again, we're all, working this on our side as our side hustle right now. And again, I cannot stress this enough. Rachel has she's dived into this so head on. Like it's almost, you'll see it from when we talk about it later on. It's almost hard for me to handle how aggressively she has come onto the team.
How hard for us to handle.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So, super blessed to have her on the team. She's super positive, and yeah, we're always jealous about her weather, because she's saying it's cold and it's like plus 20 outside. Yeah, she's obviously, as you guys can tell, a really positive person, and I think that adds a lot of positivity to our overall environment here on the team. So, glad to have you on board, Rachel. I'm going to take just a little bit of time just to talk about myself, even though most people probably know a little bit. Just so overall, I would consider myself, I'd say, more of a creative director. As I mentioned, on my own personal brand, my own free time, I guess the stuff that I'm mostly passionate about is adventure travel, photography and videography, and really storytelling. So I'm also a music producer, which is awesome because I can really express a full plethora of emotions and stories, let's say. I don't know if that's the right word, but a variety of different content, medium. I can use a variety of different mediums to express the stories I want to tell. But yeah, overall, besides that, like the hobbies that I have, I guess, is reading, working out. I really love sports. Can't wait to play with you tennis out in Hawaii, Rachel. But yeah, huge fan of like volleyball, tennis. Those are two of my favorite sports. And yeah, just overall, really busy person, as you guys will probably come to realize throughout this podcast. But that being said, we're gonna kind of transition into tackling a little bit of the meat of this episode, which is the dynamic change that we've all undergone recently from working in a very secluded and individual environment. So working alone, working for yourself, working on your own time, working with your own, your own rules, your own guidelines, to all of a sudden we're now 3 people in one environment. And mind you, like Danilo's still producing music for himself. Rachel's still making vlogs and hiking and still producing content on her own. I'm still producing stuff for my travel stuff. But I feel like almost our workflow has bled through into the team and then back out to each other. So I want to kind of start off with Rachel because she's the newest addition to the team. But she's probably got because Danilo and I know each other way far back. And one thing I don't know if I mentioned is I actually don't know Rachel. Like I haven't met her in person. We've literally just connected through the internet. So yeah, what are your thoughts on like how was your perspective in terms of like how you felt working alone, and what did you like about that? What you didn't like about it? And now working in a team, and what's some of the perks and cons on that, and like what's your overall experience?
Well, I feel like in a way I never really worked alone because in all my jobs that I've ever done, it's very you work in a team, you do your job, you kind of help others, but you mainly stay in your own job. So in that way, working in this team is a little different because like you do your job, but then also like if everybody else needs help, you go and do those jobs also, or you help them along with what they need to be doing for their jobs. And then also for it, I think for most part, this company has felt like a really big family. And like we're not
Oh,
only just we're not only just like, Vince is the CEO and me and Danilo are the two people that work for him, but more like we're like a family and like, two brothers, one sister. We do cause trouble to each other, but we also get along really well. And besides just the work part of it, we do care about each other. And like, if we're having a bad day, we know that one of us or two of us, we're always gonna call or text and say, like, are you all right? Are you doing okay? Like, instead of just having a good work camaraderie, I guess, we do have like this family base where we know we can rely on each other. And that's like really good and really, I appreciate it a lot. So that's what I like a lot about this job compared to the ones that I've had before, because those also I was kind of like doing just so I could get the experience and then leave instead of here where I'm like, I'm in for the long haul. I told Vince, like, you can't get rid of me. I'm here. I'm here and I'm staying whether you like it or not. Yeah, so that's that's me.
Is there one? Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. Is there like anything like from working alone that you kind of miss, or is there something that like really, really shined? Like you mentioned the family aspect, obviously, and being able to wear different hats. But is like, I don't know, is there something that like you're like, oh, like this is kind of frustrating for me because I can't do this as quickly, or I can't do it my way, or has it been like really a positive experience for you? Like, what's the thought on that?
I think I think it's been a really positive experience for me just because I as I said, like there's not many times when I've actually been working alone, like alone, like how you guys freelance and everything, where I'm always been in a team. Each job I've been in a team, and so it kind of just teaches me different ways to be in teams because each team is different, your different dynamics and everything. And once you find where you fit in, it's kind of like works that way too, where you kind of that's your spot, you blend in and you help everybody and do stuff like that. So then I feel like this is a very good team and I've learned a lot from what my last jobs were and like I've brought those learnings of team bonding and everything to this team, I guess.
Mm.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go into it right away, but one, I think that you've brought a lot of, like I said it multiple times already, but you've brought a lot of positivity, and the fact that you are so open, either whether it's you coming from your background of having worked in a lot of teams and you understanding that dynamic difference, I think has brought in a lot of positivity. And overall, it's good to like you mentioned, like, I'm the CEO or whatever, but it doesn't feel like that dynamic. But that being said, you also allow me to be like, this is kind of the way I'm seeing it. And you're like, okay, cool. And you're like, you already start trying to adjust and micro adjust and really trying to fill in the gaps where you can. So that's one aspect that I really appreciate about you personally, joining onto the team. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. So we heard a little bit about your ideas and your thoughts. Let's switch mic over to Danilo. What are your thoughts on working alone and how you've worked alone? Because you've had a history, a much longer history of working alone, and then a very short history of working in a team. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Okay, so I'm going to try to summarize this in like 500 words or less because I could go on about this forever.
Okay, I'm counting.
Okay. So basically, my main experience in this line of work is because you are doing stuff essentially on your own, trying to figure things out on your own and finding your own footing on your own in this world as a creative. A lot of what that means, at least for me as a producer, is you're inevitably going to work with people. People are going to seek you out for your work, but it is on a contract/commission basis, right? So essentially, once it's done, like transaction complete, and you guys kind of like segue into your own lives, kind of sort of thing. As a DJ, part of one of the hardest things for me when I was doing a lot of gigs was, going in there with my own stuff, like taking requests from the client, and then being the first one in, last one out, and it can get pretty damn lonely. Not gonna lie. I mean, enjoyable work. Well, okay, mostly enjoyable work. But having to lug all that stuff by yourself is a struggle. Having to literally because you might not do a gig where anybody except for the people that hired you, right? That can get that can get pretty lonely, pretty isolating. And as a producer, for example, like not exactly knowing who you're going to work with the next day or the next week or in the next however long I'm not going to say it's necessarily lonely, but there's like the consistency sort of is missing, right? That being said, still enjoyable work. I've been on an event team previously, but again, I was only on board for as long as we did the event, and then I was done, right? As soon as I joined AWMI, I was sort of granted those things of consistency and connection, right? And it's kind of interesting because like I've begun to sort of treat the dynamic like a relationship. And I remember telling Vince and Rachel about this the other day. Vince and I butt heads a lot. Like, we're very headstrong kind of guys, and we're not afraid to say whatever we need to each other. I know we're both doing it for the good of expressing our ideas, and we all have the same goal, wanting to make this thing succeed, but we butt heads, right? At the same time, Rachel's always there to sort of like, kind of be like, oh, hey guys, like, just tone it down a notch or something like that. She's sort of, in my opinion, kind of become the glue, right? Working with Vince, because Rachel's in the latest addition to this, working with Vince, him and I, we're a dyad, right? So it's just like, we have a interpersonal connection with just each other, which means that we come to learn each other's attributes, habits, all that sort of stuff. But that also means that we rub off on each other, which means we might not be able to see beyond what's happening between the two of us because we've gotten so used to each other. Like, so having Rachel as that third addition, making this dyad a triad, changes things so much, because all of a sudden I can talk to Rachel and be like, do you think I was being an absolute asshole to Vince, or do you think he was being an asshole to me, or like, what do you think, kind of thing? And incidentally, I can do the same with Vince. I mean, I'm not sure how often I do it between the two of them, but like, I can go to Vince and be like, do you think Rachel's not doing this or something like that? I don't know. And I'm not taking shots at anybody. I'm using examples for the most part. But yeah, no, that, energy shift to me has just been so interesting because for the first time, like when Rachel joined, it started really feeling like, okay, we need to really see how a company dynamic is going to switch, because now you have to really think about, because basically me and Vince would basically split tasks down the middle pretty much, but now we have a third person, and the delegation just becomes so much more important, and understanding our roles and understanding the goals the importance has just like spiked even more, because Rachel needs to know kind of what she's doing day to day almost. I need to know what I'm supposed to be doing day to day. And even at this point, like I don't have necessarily a clear role. Like I have a lot of roles, but it's not, I don't have one title. I wear many hats now. But yeah. So anyway, it's been an interesting ride, and honestly, going from just working with Vince and then going with Vince and Rachel, like, they probably don't know this, but I probably spend the most time talking to either of them. Like I usually spend a lot of time talking to Vince in the day, and most of my nights, like, barring sleep, talking to Rachel. So, in a weird way, I've kind of found, just observing how this dynamic is changing us individually and changing us as a whole, and then where it's driving the company has just been, I don't know, it's been, one, a lot of fun, two, a lot of challenges that we never maybe saw coming, but I feel like are absolutely on the road to tackling. And three, made me excited, even more excited than I originally was when Vince pitched me the idea and I got hooked on the vision. Now I see another person being like, okay, we can do this. And it gets me even more pumped. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm pretty sure that wasn't 500 words, but yeah, that's, that's as much as I can kind of like disclose off the top of my head right now about how I feel about like working alone versus working on it as a team, and then working for this company and working with you guys. Yeah.
I think that was more like 5,000 words, but
yeah, 5,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
Small essay.
Small essay. I think that's awesome. First of all, thank you for sharing again. Yeah, when you talked about, I can really relate to this. When you talked about the contract of like, when you're a DJ, you kind of go in and out, and the entire time you don't know anyone, and like most of the time you're alone in front of the table. As a videographer for like weddings, you show up at a wedding, you don't know anyone there, and then you have to make the bride and the groom feel really like comfortable in front of the camera. Not everyone's like that, and then you just don't know anyone, and it does force you to be a little bit more outgoing, but it also does make you feel a little bit like you didn't contribute enough to their wedding day, if that makes sense. So I can relate to kind of that loneliness aspect that you mentioned. Also, another topic that you touched on was like that dyad versus triad, because I think that one thing that you were kind of hinting towards is that when you're just two people, it's easy to give each other, like, to not hold each other accountable. It's easy to be like, well, I know Danilo, he's had a tough week, so if he hasn't, edited the podcast yet, that's fine, we'll get it next week. But when there's a third person involved, and, like I said, Rachel came in like a storm. Like, she came in like she's getting her stuff done. She's like, oh yeah, I've got this done. I've already uploaded all this. And she's like, yeah, here's like 300 videos, and here's like a list of all the links. It's hard for me to like look at Danilo in that scenario and be like, D, where's the podcast, because like Rachel's waiting on it, I'm waiting on it. So now it's like, it's no longer just us two. So in a way it's a little bit more pressure, but it's also more empowering. So I don't know if you want to bounce back off that idea, D.
It's interesting how you said like Rachel comes in like a storm, because literally last night in our conversation, I'm like, I should start calling you Hurricane Rachel. Like, straight up. But I 100% agree with that. The first time she came in and got used to, like, she tackled the way we handle our task distribution and all that stuff, got used to it right away, even found a few kinks that you didn't know about in the task system. And then we're looking at each other like, holy geez, look at this girl go. And then I was even sitting there thinking like, man, I'm kind of worried this is gonna make me look bad. Like, I'm not pulling my weight.
It does.
Well, thank you for airing that out. I'm gonna have to put that in the back pocket and bring that to next week's meeting, sort of thing.
So Danilo's performance in comparison to Rachel has been
Oh, okay, here we go. I didn't realize this was going to go from podcast to evaluation, but but no, like for sure, like I mean, the spirit of, I mean, I want to say competition, but it's not really competition because it becomes like you're competing against yourself and your own performance because you're comparing yourself to others, right?
Hmm.
And in this environment, I would say it's a positive thing because I feel like, I mean, like Rachel, I'm not going to be like, you know what, you're trying a little too hard and it's making me insecure. So
Can you
tone
stop it?
tone it down a bit. I'm not going to say something like that. If anything, it again makes me feel more driven, makes me be like, all right, like I need to match this energy, or sorry, not match this energy, feed off of that energy, because that's been one absolute positive that we've been able to provide to each other. We've been able to feed off of each other's unique merits, right?
Mhm.
And conversely, we've been able to sort of cover each other's weaknesses, or at least we're still trying. We're learning how to, which has become, I think, a very powerful thing for this team. Considering that, again, when me and Vince got really used to each other, that almost in a way kind of works against us productive wise, because it's just like, all right, well, like, Vince used the correct example there about like, maybe going a little easy on me because I'm literally the only person at stake here, right? So yeah, that's you said you sparked that fire. Yeah, absolutely. So Hurricane Mitchell.
Hur- Hurricane Rachel. Man, I think that's her new nickname right now.
Hurricane Rachel.
But yeah, I think you have a good way. You always have a good way of really breaking down some of the things that occur in the system, and you kind of have a good eye for that, for noticing, which is one of your assets. I think that you add a lot to the company. And yeah, from my own personal perspective, I'm not gonna lie, it has been extremely difficult from transitioning to working alone to working in a team. It's been difficult, I would say, more in a positive sense. It's putting me out of my comfort zone for sure, in a lot of environments and a lot of things. So just to explain, so like when you're working alone, it sounds basic, but basically you work alone. So if you feel like today you need to edit a certain video, you can just go edit a certain video. If you feel like you want to post something, you can post that. If you feel like this fits in your feed, it fits in your feed. You don't have someone else, like you can go ask feedback from other people, but that's feedback. That's feedback. It's not someone internally from your head. I already have enough battles in my own head, doubting my own content, doubting my own moves. So when someone else comes and gives me feedback, I can take that and filter it according to my own standards and then execute the way I want to. When you're on a team, this is the first time, well, not the first time, but the first time for something that I created, that I have to face other points of view that are directly coming at me to really like challenge the way I see the vision going. And the problem is it's because I know I'm not 100% right. I know that there's things that I'm missing, because clearly AWMI would be like blowing up right now if I was perfect. If I had everything down, we would be in a different position, and like quote unquote I wouldn't need help. But I do need help, and that's why you guys are on board, is because I can see that there's things that I lack that you guys definitely have and can add to the overall vision. And so it's difficult for me to like balance, like I told you guys the other day, to balance where I put my foot down on things and where I don't. Because just to give, again, a little bit of context, even though I'm the boss, I don't consider you guys like my employees, but I do believe that there is a certain amount of format or construct, or there has to be some type of overarching vision or push that has to be there. It's like if everyone's putting in, like I tell this to Danilo all the time, if you work with 17 people on a track, let's say like a producer, a sound engineer and whatever, everyone gives in their touch, but there has to be someone who's driving that overall direction. If I don't know, I recently went on a trip to Hawaii, and unfortunately Rachel and I could not connect at that time, but we went on a trip with I think we were like 14 people, and it was a little bit difficult to accommodate everyone's needs. That being said, it has forced me to wear even more hats that I'm not used to. So, for example, like things like performance reviews, that's not something I'm used to doing, because we have such a good connection as a friend that me coming here and being like, well, I think, Danilo, you've been, just as an example, you'd have been slacking a little bit. And I understand that,
the same example from last time.
Are you getting the hint yet? No, just kidding. But no, it's like, like I have to sit down and be like this hasn't formally been put in place yet, but these are things that I have to consider in my head, and like not in a sense of like me coming at you and telling you what you need to do, but more in a sense of like, how can I help you guys develop more? How can I really make your attributes, your skill sets, your personality shine through in order to enable AWMI to grow into an even bigger, better, more impactful vision, because like I feel like when I had you guys come on board, I told you guys the first and foremost thing is I want you guys to benefit from this. I don't want this to be something that's just for me or just for the company. I want this to be something that where you guys can learn, and it will directly impact your own personal work and the stuff that you guys create on your own, and what really, really makes you come alive. Like, I'm not saying AWMI doesn't, but that was one of the first and foremost, like, strongest points that I wanted to really drive home when it was like my own personal responsibility as a boss. Because I feel like a lot of companies don't do that. They tend to just think about themselves and what you're giving the company. And to me, that's no, like whatever you guys do on the side will make you come alive to come bring this alive. So I want to be able to make that happen. Like hearing feedback like the other day, like Danilo saying like your friends are seeing you act and walk differently, and you're saying, and they are attributing this to, and you are also attributing this to your participation in AWMI, to me is like the most humbling thing I can ever hear. It almost like brings me to tears when I hear that, because it's like that's the whole goal. It's like, if I can empower any of you, or even people who are listening to this podcast right now, if I can empower anyone to walk differently, to hold themselves differently, to feel like they're a part of a community, to know that they have people holding their own, and also holding them, like, supporting them. I feel like that's like the biggest goal I can do and I can have. And that's my own personal goal, having other people coming on board. So when I say it's difficult for me, it's because it's a lot of pressure. Again, these are hats that I have never had to wear before. I've never had to try to empower someone else before, while still giving them work. It's very difficult for me to be like, okay, like let's give Danilo a podcast edit. Let's tell Rachel she needs to create a mood board, when Danilo's never edited a podcast before and Rachel's never created a mood board before, So it's hard for me to be like, to tell you need to do this and go figure it out, because I particularly don't necessarily know everything either, but I also want to develop that skill set that you guys are able to figure stuff out, because one, that will help you again in your own endeavors, but you guys are just going to be able to enjoy the company and what we create more and be able to contribute more. So I just, again, it's really challenging to have to balance that. That being said, I'm loving it. Like overall, at the end of every meeting, I always tell you guys, like, I'm so blessed. Like, it's frustrating how involved you guys are, but I'm so blessed at like how much you guys care. Like what I was saying, like you guys are contradicting certain ideas. Like when we were talking about that one project that we're currently working on right now, I was up till 2 a.m. in the morning and I'm exhausted and I'm like dead tired, and you guys are just like telling me, no, Vince, it can't be like this. And I'm just like, guys, you don't get it. And it's like in my head, I'm like, why are these people arguing? Like, do they not get it? And then every time I just end the call, and I'm always thinking like, these people could literally not care about what's going on. So I'm just thankful to have you guys on board. And yeah, just like, obviously, I think this also stems from a few issues that I've had personally. Like, I feel like I lack a lot of trust in a lot of people, again, paired with that set of expectations that I have of high quality. I've been in a situation where I've trusted people and they've failed to deliver, and I'm the one who has to deal with it afterwards. Again, like, this is not a joke. AWMI is a thing that's happening. It's legally an incorporation, which is its own entity, which means that there can be legal consequences to this. And so I have to take full responsibility for what's going on. And so it's difficult for me to like be human, especially with friends, but also understand that we are putting high quality content out there. That being said, you guys have yet to disappoint. If anything, I'm the one who's lacking the most. I'm the one who hasn't performed at my best, and I'm extremely grateful to have you guys allow me that space to grow and to also be human, because yeah, that's an aspect that I think that I've probably ignored for a large part of my life, is the interaction with other people and the ebb and flow. And just, I think one thing that I'm super grateful is like you said, Rachel, you're here to stay. And that to me means so much, because I'm always like, I probably have like some abandonment issues, and I've never really had like my squad to back me up all the time. So yeah, just having you guys there just constantly, and like whenever I'm like battling stuff in my head, I just always come back to the fact that like, again, you guys are wanting to stay here. You guys are wanting to be part of it. And I just have to be able to empower you guys to do your best work, to be able to, push the vision and change the narrative forward for the company. So that's kind of my point of view in a nutshell. I don't know if you guys have thoughts on that.
I have a question for Rachel.
Yes.
All right. I kind of want to know how you feel about how you have fit in for this dynamic, coming into two guys who have already kind of been working on it for quite a bit of time before you entered.
Hmm. I feel like I feel like it's like a good fit where I'm like the nurturer of the group where like if something like you guys do butt heads, and then like example is like Danilo will call me and be like, I don't know, something or other, and then I'm just like, tell him with love, like tell him, speak from the heart. Don't just get upset because you're upset about something or other.
Oh
And so I
gosh.
always tell him, like, if you're getting upset, call me first. And then, like, it's going to be the kindness filter, because
Kindness
we
filter.
both, we all can't just like, when you get upset, you can't be just like, well, I'm just going to say something that's going to hurt you just because I'm upset.
Mm.
It's kind of like we're a family, so you got to build off of each other's strengths and weaknesses, like you guys said. And I think that, like, that's also helping kind of like, I feel like I was telling my mom the other day, like, I feel like we're a family and I'm that sister that's off in college. Like, what's going on over there? What are you doing? Be nice to your brother.
Yeah.
Because that's how it feels. Because there's a time difference. So when I wake up, I already see you guys are doing fun things, and I'm like, oh, I want to do that. But it's always great. I like it because I feel like I fit in, and you guys are very nice and kind.
Yeah, you're definitely the nurture aspect of the AWMI for sure. Like you're definitely there to not the mediator, because and when like Danilo says like we butt heads, it's not like every single day, and like these are just like we agree. I would say we agree more than we butt heads, definitely. I think it's just, I think again, like I take a little bit of responsibility because I'm not necessarily communicating as well. But yeah, I think Rachel is like like you said, like the glue. Like she's really like, she plays a good part in just, like I said, bringing positivity and love. Like she just explained, like kill them with kindness. Like that's Rachel for you. So
Yeah, and you know what? Disclaimer: half the time when me and Vince do butt heads, we literally are trying to achieve the same thing.
facts.
When we just go about it,
Mhm.
we just go about it in absurdly different routes. But whenever we actually finish talking out, we're like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, no, we are on the same page. We just literally, it's like I started from the end of the dictionary and he started at the beginning.
Yeah, literally.
You know what I mean?
It's like we're literally saying the same thing, and like if we could put the final result in front of us, we'd be like, yeah, that's exactly what we want. But we're just like, we're just not able to, like, again, communication skills, again, like either it's your biases, your background, or whatever, you need to hear it, say it, like explain it in a certain way, and like we're still learning to develop that language. Like there's a lot of things that are lost in translation for sure.
One thing that I will mention as a team that has somewhat been a challenge that we have yet to, that we're still trying to work the kinks out on, is because we're entering, like, well, I mean, as a creative, as creatives, you're sort of entering a volatile field, right? Like, you are almost at the mercy of, like, let's say the Instagram algorithm, or like how many connections you can get and how you can make content that is popping, right? So nobody's written the book on how to achieve results in these sorts of things. And as much as there are other influencers and other people that are saying, do this to gain followers, do this to gain likes, all that stuff, right? Like, they can say it because it's worked for them, easily, right? And as much as we want to take on those examples and use those tips, and mind you, we absolutely have taken those into account on our individual Instagram pages, but having to do that as a team and decide on how to, use that to push the narrative for the company forward has been an interesting challenge, and one that I'll say has been very insightful to learn about as we go forward. Again, like, not that like we could write the book on it either, but there's definitely things that the three of us, having very different social media backgrounds, have each sort of pooled our knowledge together to kind of work out sort of a process on how we want to tackle, social media, or YouTube, or content creation, all that sort of stuff. Super interesting observation that I never thought that I'd be thinking this hard about at this point in my life as a creative. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that has definitely been a challenge, and it's and I tell you guys this every week, it's because we haven't received or achieved results. We haven't, broken through yet as a company, and it's something that I feel like I don't reinforce enough, but I have zero doubt they were going to make this happen. I have doubts in the moment where I lose, I think, capacity to handle that, like, that pressure that I have on myself, and that I try to imply, because, I want us to succeed, because it's no longer just about me. It's about you guys. And you guys are like amazing people. And there are shitty people in the world that are big, like, that are successful, that don't have to worry about the same things we have to worry about, that don't have to do stuff that they don't enjoy doing just to be able to make time for the things that they enjoy doing. And to me, it's just like a lot of pressure, because I want to see you guys succeed. I want everyone to be like, I want to be able to fly us out to go see Rachel, and fly Rachel out here to come and visit the Snowland. I like, these are things.
No.
It's just a lot of pressure that I put on myself. But I think that I'm kind of, I don't know. I keep saying that I'm blessed, and I kind of lost my train of thought off of what you were saying, Danilo. But yeah, I think that it's a dynamic that we're trying to really, really learn to integrate into our own personalities and better ourselves. But I have a question for you guys real quick.
Just to add one.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, sorry, go on.
No, go.
I was just going to say, just to sort of like touch on your point there, like, just as when you bring a whole bunch of people together, you take advantage of everybody's assets and their contributions and their positives and their pros. And that absolutely helps contribute to a team. But also, conversely, this also means you have to take on everybody's weaknesses, or the things that they also don't have, which also contributes to the team, but not in ways that you don't expect, right? Because again, it forces you to think outside your comfort zone and understand, okay, what sort of needs does this person have, and like how is this person to grow this aspect of their life and their personality, and how do we get them up to that level, sort of thing. So I can kind of relate to sort of like the difficulty part, because that's definitely something that again, challenges that all of us are like understanding probably for the first time, actually, I think. So yeah, anyway, you had a question for us.
See, guys, I just want to emphasize or underline how, like, isn't Danilo just amazing at breaking down concepts like this? Like the
Yes.
isn't he like the thought process that he has to be able to actually think that through? It's just like all the time, like.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a fourth kind of section to this podcast, or fourth kind of theme that we're going to go into. But before that, I just really quickly want to ask you guys an honest question, and you guys can answer honestly. Although I will Venmo you money after if you speak nicely, Rachel. I'm just joking. But what are your honest thoughts of me as a quote unquote boss?
Do you want to go first?
Take it away, D.
We have a volunteer. We have a volunteer. Go for it.
All right, me.
Oh,
Rachel,
me?
Rachel, let's go.
I think you're a good boss because like you are very like how do you say like the you need to see it. Like we can't just like have a random idea, throw it out to you and you're like, "All right, let's do it." Like you kind of need a plan and you kind of need to be able to see it and like in certain aspects I see that I'm that way, but I'm also kind of like the oh, it's in my head, I have to get it out before I forget it. And so I kind of like throw it at Danilo, and then he's like, okay, we got to figure out a plan before we go to Vince, or he's just going to be like, okay, I see that, but like, where's the plan? And then we have to do that anyway. So in certain ways, I love that just because like it's making me more organized because, you know, I'm a tornado and like I just got to like think of things. That's why I have like a notebook in front of me because when we're having the podcast, I'm like writing things down that like pop in my head. I'm like, it needs to stay on the paper before I forget it. But you're helping me become more organized, and so I really appreciate that. But I also see that as a boss, it's like you're really good at managing everything. Like ClickUp, we're getting all the time notifications on things we need to do, and it's like very reasonable deadlines. So it's not like, okay, we need everything done by February 1st. Like, you know, you're not going to kill us like that. But it's very organized so that we can get everything done and there's no reason it shouldn't be done. And so that's like no excuses for us. And it's very good on delegating jobs for you. I also think that like in general, each one of us has like a lot that we can be growing on and working on improving and stuff. But for the most part, I enjoy having you as a boss.
Okay, so I'll send you the money after this, but
Okay, Venmo. No.
but okay, so yeah, I appreciate the kind words, by the way. It means a lot that I'm positively influencing you to get more organized. But okay, yeah, so you mentioned that I could maybe possibly, like, everyone has something to improve on. So what would be something really quickly that you think I can improve on?
I think the main one for me that I think is just communication. Like, you know, even if you're having a bad day, you message us like, I'm having a bad day. I'm not going to be on social media, you know, just so that like we know that you're not just sometimes disappear. Because also like when I try to ask you a question about ClickUp and then like I am 4 hours different. So when I start working, it's like nighttime when I work. So then I wait and then you answer the next day and then I work on it. And then if I have another question, so it kind of like, I know maybe I should plan things better more, but like also if I have questions, it's like the timing of everything kind of works against us. So
Look at that.
I feel like communication is good.
She's giving me heck for not answering quicker enough. No, just kidding. But I appreciate it. Yeah, that's something that I think overall communication.
I think all of us need to work on that.
Yeah, but I think also like even talking with Danilo the other day, like there's certain things that like I know in my head, but I forget to communicate to you guys. Like, and it's something we will touch on our meeting after this podcast. But Barry, thank you so much for the feedback. I will definitely try to work on that. Now, Danilo. Again, same rules apply. If you say something nice, I will e-transfer you money because we don't Venmo up in here in Canada. But
Yeah.
if you say something mean, then I will fire you. So, what are your honest thoughts of me as a boss after I just dropped that?
You know what? After that shit, I'm ready to e-transfer you. I'm kidding. All right. As a boss, and keep in mind the boss dynamic is very tough because we're also friends, right?
Yeah.
So when you're like I know my boss at my 9 to 5. I won't expect him to come to me and be like, I'm really having a hard day. Could you just talk to me, kind of thing, right?
Bro, why you gotta do me like that? God.
As an example. But I think one of your strongest attributes as a boss, for sure, 100%, has been laying infrastructure. And again, I feel so strongly about this because that is something I sorely lacked as a creative in general. Like, again, if anybody remembers from what I said from previous podcast, I was the kind of person who was pretty wait and see. And like, I'm thankful that I've been able to sustain myself as a creative with that mindset. But Vince comes along and he gives me a literal roadmap to his vision, right? And that is one of the things that, again, I was sorely missing, and two, the spark that made me go, I want to be part of AWMI. I want to help you get to this vision, right? So yeah, like that for sure, one of your strongest strengths. And another thing too, and I feel like we don't touch on this enough just because we're so you know, like infantile in like forming our organization here. Like, we're still working out the kinks for infrastructure, but when push comes to shove, Vince is a absolute monster when it comes to creating content. Like he's an incredible editor, like he's an incredibly good videographer. We just don't get to see it as much because we've been so busy just trying to like literally like build like the pillars for AWMI. But when it comes down to the stuff he actually makes, like, it's top tier. And I remember he was teaching me how to edit a while ago, and I was just sitting there like literally thinking like, oh, did I just get sucked into a free masterclass? This is ridiculous, right? And that for me, like, already in the short amount of time that I've been in AWMI, I have picked up so many skills, both at a like a procedural level and also at a like a creation level, right? And I can't thank you enough for just that short amount of time, how much growth in skills and also as a person that I've been able to obtain. Yeah. So anyway, how much am I getting transferred here?
It looks like the quarterly bonus will be good this year.
Well, I guess I still have to answer the second part. Hey, I guess that's gonna change.
That can deduct your money.
That's amazing. And again, I just want to highlight how well, what's the word? How well Danilo communicates. Anyways, he breaks it down really well. But okay, yeah, second part. What would be something I can really improve on?
Going off of what Rachel said, yeah, communication is definitely easily one that, again, we immediately saw was sort of becoming an issue, but also one that we easily saw that could be resolvable and that we can build off of, because in the short amount of time that we came across that issue versus tackling it and moving forward from it, I mean, I feel like a big sign of growth is not only being able to handle the bad situations better, but being able to pull yourself out faster, right? And in the short amount of time that I've known you in the context of the company, I definitely see that that's something that's improving, right? However, still, that doesn't mean that communication is not still an issue. It's still there. Like, it's still a thing that we need to work on. So, but again, it's getting better. And the other thing too is, like, as somebody who has to carry like the weight of his world and the weight of two other people's worlds on him, like, I know that pressure can be incredibly suffocating. And I know that can be reflected in the way that you carry yourself and the way that you might interact with me and Rachel. And basically what I'm trying to say is you're too freaking hard on yourself sometimes, right? And to the point where I'm just like, what am I going to do with this guy? Like, this guy is literally like, I couldn't beat him up harder than he's beating himself up. But again, I feel like, as long as we're at the point where we can still push each other along, that is something that we won't have to worry about as much, because I'm 100% on board for this. I believe in the vision, and I believe that we will achieve the numbers and the results that we're looking for. And I know that as those wins keep coming, that, like, we won't see you beating yourself up as much. And I know it's coming. It's just we're all transitioning into something different right now, and that transition comes with growing pains. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't think I was too hard on you in terms of like what you can improve on, because it's like some things that I know that we're already trying to improve on, but I'm still making them apparent.
I think that people are actually going to think that I paid you guys to speak nicely of me, but because like I'm just sitting there like, look at my team. They're speaking like adult. They're speaking so professionally. Like, that's awesome. Like, oh, I'm so proud of them. But like, really, like, yeah, it is. I think communication is probably, like I mentioned, one of my weakest points in terms of, like, again, like, I didn't have to, like, if I wanted to post something before, I could, I could just do it. Now it's like, no, like, there are more people that are invested in this. They might have better ideas than me, but then I'm like, why do I have to, in my head, the way that you break down concepts, Danilo, if I could break them down to you guys the way you do, I think we'd have a much easier way. We'd have a much easier process, less friction.
I think we just figured out the process.
Yeah. Can I just, can you just, like, stay in my head for like a few days just so we can, clear that up, and you can.
I don't know if there's enough room in there for me, dude.
Oh, it's full of calats. It's full of garbage up in there. But I appreciate you guys again for the feedback, honest feedback, and you guys were very, very kind on me. Because, anyways, I appreciate it.
And here I thought I was getting self-evaluated, and then became a self-evaluated.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, not to drag this on, but let's segue into a part that I have nothing to do with. This is entirely Rachel and Danilo who have put this together. So take us through what we're about to do, Danilo.
Cool. I'm sure everybody out there is familiar with 21 questions. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Like, we are literally going to go rapid fire questions. One, because we kind of want to put out there what kind of people we are, and some of these questions might be deep. Some of them might be not so deep, but I think it'll give everybody a good picture of the kind of the personalities that we carry into this thing. So yeah, I'm going to start. I'm going to ask the question. I'll answer last. I'll ask either Rachel or Vince, whatever it is. And here we go. So first question. Vince, what is your favorite color?
Green.
Oh, okay. All right. Why?
Well, I mean, it's kind of hard to just say why, but I would say I really like the life aspect that green has to offer. It's like it represents nature, represents life coming alive, and nature has a lot of, ups and downs. Like a storm is part of nature, right? I think that it's a good depiction of life, I would say. That being said, cool. I mainly wear black. So,
Rachel, same thing to you. What's your favorite color?
My favorite color is also green. It's like Xbox green is specifically.
Specifically, wait, hold on. What generation of Xbox green?
I never had a console since N64, PS2, so I don't even have Xbox. But I like that green when I see it in the store.
Okay, gotcha.
But then in general, all of my stuff is like what I wear is blue. I guess I like wearing that color more, but like all the green things in my room are plants. So I like the green for me is nature, because I like to see things grow. I like to take care of things that are like my plants. And green is also, I feel like, grounding. Because when you go into nature, it kind of like grounds you back to earth. Not like, you leave your technologies out and you go on a hike, you're grounded with yourself and the earth. And also my birthday is like an Earth Day, so it's kind of like fitting.
Okay, my favorite color is red. For the longest time, it has been. I've always been attracted to the color red. It's the color of passion, the color of leadership. And honestly, like whenever I see a red aesthetic in art, I always think it pops, right? Yeah, that's basically the shortest answer I'll give for today. My favorite color is red because of those reasons. Next question. Vince, what is your favorite comfort food?
Whoa, I don't have that
Ooh.
question on my thing. I was reading the next question, but it's a different one.
Psych! Stop following along. I got this.
Yeah, because that second question would have thrown me on a curveball. Okay, what's my favorite comfort food? I'd have to say like hamburgers. I absolutely love hamburgers.
Ooh, okay.
Like an A&W with like a ton of mayo and ketchup with the fries, and yeah, I would say that's probably like my go-to, as well as like bubble tea recently has definitely been like the go-to as well. So
Yep. I can attest to that. Rachel?
Comfort food. If you come to Hawaii, there's this place called Zippy's that everybody knows, and I love their chili. Chili and rice, it's the best. And then for drink, it's of course bubble tea. I have an addiction.
Okay.
Like I have to make myself one a month, or I'm gonna go too many.
One a month. Gosh, that feels like so long.
So it has to be like, if I really deserve it, then I'll take it. But I try to hold out to the end of the month. So I just had my milk tea.
I think you deserve it every single day, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
But that would be like too much.
There's never too much bubble tea. That's not a thing.
That's not a thing.
That's not a thing. Okay, my favorite comfort food is sushi.
Ooh,
Yeah, sushi.
yeah,
Sushi is
that's
one of the
always
few
good.
foods that I like. I'm a fast eater, right? Like, but if you put sushi in front of me, I will literally eat that like one roll, and I will make sure every bite is done just the way I like it.
Bro, you take an hour to drink your bubble tea. I don't know what you're talking about, fast eater. Maybe you're like, you literally take an hour. I finished my bubble tea within like you not even finishing your first 3 sips of that bubble tea.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, no, sushi, especially sashimi. Sashimi's big, like for me. Like I buy sashimi. I'm just like, I'm spoiling myself. This is for me kind of thing, right? And yeah, my favorite drink is bubble tea.
In particular, matcha bubble tea.
Matcha. But well, Vince knows this, and it's really funny because like literally, me and Vince went for bubble tea last night, and we had both just come out of like a little bit of a low, and I was about to ask him like, yo dude, like I was gonna be like, I'm thinking about bubble tea, and he's just like, I was thinking about bubble tea. So we went for bubble tea. And it's funny because I had like one of those stamp cards that had like a full thing so I can get a free one, and I was like saving this card for a rainy day. I was just like, I'm just gonna hold on to it until I feel like I really need it. And then I ended up using it on Vince because I care.
That's me. That's me.
All right. Next question. Name a pet peeve of yours. Let's go to Rachel first.
Me? Okay. The biggest one I have is like, okay, if someone asks me like, how is your day? And then they're not listening and I have to repeat myself because they weren't listening, I won't. I will call them out like, why did you ask me that question if you weren't going to listen to the answer? And then they're like, okay, I'm listening now. I'm like, no, it's done.
Oh man, I'm getting annoyed. I'm just getting annoyed. Just picturing that scenario.
It's the intention. That's why. Like, did you say it just to ask if I was that, or did you actually care to know?
Right. All right, Vince, pet peeve.
Oh my god, like this is a curveball for me. Like, what's a pet
Pick
peeve?
the first one. Pick the first one you can think of, because I know you've got a lot.
I feel like a pet peeve of mine, and maybe this is not necessarily a pet peeve, but it's like, and you guys kind of talked about it earlier, it's like when someone, and this is very work related, but when someone brings up an idea and there's nothing to back it up, that's a pet peeve to me, because it's like,
oh shoot,
like I love bouncing ideas. When we're in brainstorming mode, that's the mode I'm in. Like Rachel and I the other day when we were talking, we're on the same page. We're like, okay, no, we just need ideas. Let's just throw ideas, like whatever. Let's not shoot them down right now. Let's just give ideas. But like sometimes people, and sometimes you guys will come up to me like, oh yeah, we should do that. And I'm like, man, like we have to add this to the list of things to do. And like, what do you mean by this? And like how much time it's going to take it? And like, what's the direction you want to go? And these are great ideas, but I feel like formulating them into again, structure and a way that we can actually execute on them, because they are amazing ideas and I want to execute on them. So it's like a pet peeve because it's like, oh, I don't know.
Just to add to that, everybody, that little pet peeve of Vince's has actually improved the way that me and Rachel come about presenting our ideas. Because
or we just throw it at each other and then we have to like fix it together and go, okay, Vince,
Yeah,
what do you
this
think?
entire section of the podcast right now is literally because they know that I'm not like, I need to see it written down and be on board. They literally prep this before and they're like, hey Vince, can we have a meeting? We need to break this down for you. So I was like, okay.
So yeah, it's been interesting having to learn. Well, I mean, now that I can like work with Rachel and be like, hey, like let's package this up for Vince so that it's a presentable thing, and you know he won't be disappointed, even though it might not be used in the end. At least he knows we put the work into it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next question. I'm gonna start with Vince this time.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Name something you're surprisingly good at. Oh wait, hold on. I didn't name a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah. You.
Okay, I'm just gonna name this one real quick. I hate when people ask me questions they already know the answer to.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah, I absolutely 100,000%. If I can tell you're asking me just so you can be like, I knew you'd say that. Fuck off. Like, basically.
What's your name? What's your name?
Yeah.
Ezekiel.
Yeah, that's about it. All right. Anyway, moving on before I get like heated about that. Yeah. So Vince, name something you're surprisingly good at.
Something I'm surprisingly good at. I would say maybe shuffling. That's something that's come up recently. I'm pretty decent at shuffling. I'm not amazing. But I would say making music, like in general. But yeah, anyway, shuffling. Let's go with shuffling.
Okay. Shuffling. Rachel, what are you surprisingly good at?
Maybe, I don't know, like surprise. I feel like what I'm good at is very predictable.
Okay, pick the
But
least predictable thing.
least predictable.
Yeah.
I think maybe when I get like focused and stuff, shooting.
Okay. Yeah.
Because my friend took me and it was pretty fun. Like once I figure out how to do it and not get scared by the bang, I get it pretty accurate.
Okay. All right. Cool. As for me, God, I'm trying to also pick one that's not super predictable, being, you know, Filipino. But what I was gonna say was Dance Dance Revolution.
Oh,
Yeah, you did say that, yeah.
okay.
But I'm not sure if that's a surprise to anybody. But like to me, it's just like I don't think that it's like a ooh, like you know, I feel like I don't know. Anyway, I'm just gonna move.
We're gonna have to see a video
Yeah,
of
let's
it
go.
next.
Yeah, okay, sure, fine. Challenge accepted. Okay, next question. Let's go with Rachel first. Name something you suck at.
I suck at?
Yeah, name something you suck at.
Suck at dancing. I'm not coordinated.
Okay. That's interesting.
Like if I watch someone do it, I'm like, oh my gosh. Like I'm kind of clumsy, so that also affects me.
Oh god, I gotta see this in motion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no. I don't even go clubbing because I'm like, I can't. I don't want to dance. I will just stand there.
Danilo Sensei, please teach the less fortunate.
Okay, dancing and DDR are two different things, okay? Like that being said, I do like to get down. Anyway, Vince, what do you suck at?
Well, I think that's already been implied in the podcast. Clearly, I suck at communicating. But
Oh.
I would say on a more like tangible aspect, I think anything that's relating to water, I'm not really good at. I'm not really good at swimming. I'm not really good at surfing. I went to Hawaii and tried to surf and I struggled for about 2 hours and a half and got a massive sunburn on my back.
Oh, but that's hard though. That's really
But I can
hard.
snowboard. I can snowboard. So it was weird. It was just like the getting up part, but it's something that I want to challenge. I want to get really good. I want to go to Hawaii and do some underwater diving with you, Rachel, and hopefully Danilo and Sama too. You can come with, and yeah, I like surfing. I really want to get good at, even though I'm terrified of sharks. But yeah, anything with water, I'm not particularly agile. Let's say so.
Fair enough. Uh, Something I suck at, and I am proud to wear this as a plaque. I suck at parallel parking. Like I can't do it.
Bruh.
I can't do it to save my life. Like I don't know how many times
Oh
that I
no.
don't know how many times that I'd be taking like my partner or a date to a venue, and the only like I would like they'd be like, why don't you just parallel park that? I'm like, I really can't. Like I really can't. And then I drive around and it'd be like the only thing available as an option for parking. I'm like, fuck, I have to do it. And then I'll suck at it. And then, and I can say this has happened more than once where the girl has been like, do you want me to do it? And I'll be like, yeah, please, let's switch. And then she does it. And I'm just like,
Oh.
and then they'll just bug me about it for the rest of the date. And I'll be like, I don't care. I suck at it. Like, like sue me. Like it's just the thing.
That's
I'm like,
funny.
I'm saying I'm proud that I am, but I will openly admit it. And girls, if you want to feel empowered by parallel parking my car while we're on a date, go for it. Like I don't care. take that stress off my shoulders. Just
Baby, take the wheel.
Oh, jeez. Okay. All right. Next question. If you, okay, right. So this one is one of Rachel's because she submitted a couple to me. If you could create a slogan for your life, what would it be? I'm gonna ask Vince first because Rachel wrote this one.
Adventures within media.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I would say, stay true to who you are.
Tried and true.
Yeah.
Okay. Rachel?
I kind of like, like the saying that's like the grass is greener where you water it.
Mm.
Like, you can't hope for something that someone else has if you're not gonna water your own grass and make it happen on your side, kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I like that. All right.
I've gotten to that point in my life. That's why where I'm like, this is what I gotta be doing.
Um, as for me, create a slogan for your life. Oh, okay. I got one. And this has been something that I've said to both of you guys, but like, yeah, mine is I want to see what happens when I don't give up.
That's
Yeah,
a good one.
that is one I've used to pull myself out of a lot of places. So yeah, super important one to me. Okay, one last question. All right, what is the best piece of advice you were ever given? Let's start with Rachel.
Um, I feel like it's like don't sweat the hard things. Like, like the things you can't control.
Hmm.
Don't put all your energy into worrying about those things if you can't fix it. Like, work on the things that you can control because
Yeah.
those are the things that, like, even if that thing doesn't work out, you can still work all your things to make that thing work. And I think that's the best thing that I said because I'm an emotional person. So, like, I get very like, oh, that was so bad, or like, oh my God, they're mad at me. But like, if they're mad at me or like they don't like me, it's not my fault if it is
Hmm.
for that reason, like do what you can for yourself. And like, if they don't like you, they don't like you, find people who like you kind of thing.
So applicable.
Mm-hmm.
Vince.
I'm going to refer back to the book that I recently completed, which is High Performance Habits, and he really hones in on clarity. So it's not like necessarily a particular sentence, but he talked about prolific quality output, and just in general, the more clarity you have in life, the better the more you can live your life with more intention. And it goes back to when I said stay true to who you are. How do you stay true to who you are if you don't know who you are? So clarifying your identity, clarifying your intentions, clarifying your actions, what you want in life and what you don't want, I think is kind of like one of the biggest takeaways I've taken. That sounds weird. Biggest takeaways from that book and just in general from 2020, I would say, and from my life so far. So yeah, just clarity in general, just, clarity.
I got to provide a bit of context for the quote that I am about to provide because this is a seemingly simple quote, right? But this is basically when I first started getting into music, and the one of the more prolific producers slash rappers in the city, Malcolm J, basically invites me over and teaches me the basics of production, right? And I was going on about what kind of music do I want to make, like what's popular, but I'm asking all these questions that have nothing to do with like, what I want actually, right? And then he looks at me and just turns and says, "Man, just make the music you want to make." And I'm not sure if he actually knows the impact of that quote. And but for me, I took it and ran with it and just went, you know what? I don't have to care about like who likes my music. I want to like my music. I want to make the kind of music that comes from here and comes from here. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm pointing to my heart in my head. If anybody can see or anybody who's listening to this on podcast. And yeah, like I feel like that's something I've taken with me throughout my entire creative career, because it's like forced me to basically step outside the expectations of society and the norms of like how the music industry, what's popular, all that stuff, and basically stay true to like what I want to make, even though that changes all the time. I feel like I'm never satisfied truly with like what I'm putting out there unless I know I'm putting a piece of myself in it. So yeah, make the music you want to make. I feel like that's applicable to any sort of art form, but that's how it was presented to me, and that's something I'll always keep with me for like the rest of my life, I think, as long as I'm making music.
Love that. Love that.
That's a good one.
All right, do you want any more questions, or are we going into the outro?
I mean, as I just told you guys, like I think that we could talk forever, but I think that, for our audience sake, I think it's probably best we wrap it up here. But one, I just like has been such a liberating experience, just the process of preparing and recording and soon releasing this podcast, because it's literally like a low-key flex of like the team. Like it's an opportunity where for the first time, because we've been holding this a secret until this releases, I've been holding this a secret to show off my team, show off the team that we have here at AWMI, because like to me, honestly, it's like a squad goal kind of thing. It's like literally a team flex of like what we have here. And I don't know if you guys took away the energy that is here, but in my opinion, there's nothing we won't be able to accomplish. So again, I just want to take the opportunity to thank both you guys, so Danilo and Rachel, for one, believing in the dream, being part of it, and just being so open. Like, Rachel's never been on a podcast. She's not necessarily comfortable with this kind of scenario. Danilo is not necessarily comfortable with everything that we're throwing. I'm not necessarily comfortable with it. So just having you guys being so open just inspires me to be more open and more willing to really tackle this. And I think overall that's going to translate in our work, and can't wait to see what we create and what kind of impact we can have in the world moving forward with you guys. So I'm going to wrap this one up by asking anyone who has listened all the way up to this point to please like and subscribe. If you're on YouTube, it does make a difference. Support our team. Obviously, we're awesome, so you gotta support, you gotta subscribe. If you're on Spotify, I think you can follow on Spotify as well. Also, we each have our own individual things, so I'm gonna put the links up to our Instagram, etc. So please support. Go check out Rachel's stuff. Go check out Danilo's music. If you want to come check out my stuff, you can too. But I would just say, we do put in a lot of work into this, and this is no longer, like I said, it's no longer just like a side little hobby that we're putting in. This is a dream, and I would love for you guys to be part of it. So if you guys took anything from this, please like tag us. Like, we love that. Like, Rachel's the one running Instagram, so she loves it, and she like sends us screenshots all the time, and tag us, like take a recording, share with your friends, let us know what you think. And we're always trying to improve, and we're pretty open, as you guys can tell from this conversation. So enough said about like the subscribe, but you guys should really consider doing it, because you guys are going to miss out on a lot of stuff if you don't. So I'm just going to turn the mic to you guys for any last words you guys want to say.
I don't know what to say.
Well said, boss.
Yes.
Okay.
You said it all very well.
And that's the last thing I gotta say.
All right. Go ahead. Sorry.
I think it's like, I look forward to seeing where this new chapter of AWMI is gonna go, and I hope that everybody listening, if they've made it this far, will be there along for the journey, you know, seeing us grow. And like maybe a year from now, we can look back on this video and just be like, look how far we came and look like all the dreams we have. Did we accomplish it? And like, you know, we can do like a recap in a
Ooh.
year of how far we've come, things we've learned, and advice we have. So I'm so excited for what can come with this. And our team
Aw.
might get bigger one day, who knows? But we were the first three.
Hey.
The real OGs.
The OGs. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, as we typically, end these podcasts, I'm fully again depleted of coffee. There's,
Oh,
you know,
same.
so I'm gonna give you guys one last cheers to an empty cup.
Cheers.
Do that classic sip of there's nothing in there, and I'm still gonna sip it. And yeah, we're gonna see you guys on the other side. All right, cheers.
Bye bye.
See ya.